We are here. We were just waiting to see if Denmark scored that penalty, which they did. This is the View from the Bridge official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of November, 2025. My name is Patrick Smith. Join us over here with the cap on. Autoplex cap on is Mr. David Jimsey, statistician for the Belfast Giants, and down below us a man who played many games on the ice in Dundonald, the legend that is Simon Kitchen. Over the next hour, so we'll bring you all the news and views of the Belfast Giants and the Elite Ice Hockey League from the last week or so. We're live on demand on YouTube, X, Facebook. You also listen to us through all the really good podcast providers. If you're like Aaron Fletcher having a watch party, tune in, drop us a line, drop us a comment. We'll keep you up. You might see some of them on screen. On this week's show, 3 points from 4 at home to the Storm and 2 games of vastly differing emotions. Ryan Smith joins us to talk it all over. Coventry are in town this weekend. We call up their head coach, Kevin Moore, and we'll have a little chat maybe about Dops. Maybe. David, how are you?
Not so bad, Patrick.
Keep him well. Just yeah. Let's move on. Are you two wearing the same jumper?
Well, no, because then there'd only be one. We're wearing similar jumpers.
You're wearing similar jumpers? Very good.
I don't think
it's not like the old days. Not like the old days and like when Oxo tried to get 2 people into a shirt, that sort of thing. Remember those?
I remember lots of things about Oxo that I don't want to remember. Still a friend, he texts me every day. He's a good lad, but I remember there's a Gaviscon story in there, which I'll.
Don't you remember that? All this stuff out of the bag.
For people who don't know this story, I was the playoffs and I wasn't feeling very well, which is an ongoing subject. And I said to Oxo, sicker, man, wasn't well at all. Damn, a heartburn. I could really do with a Gaviscon. Oxo stood up and he had about 20 scarves around his waist. You know the way he wears all the scarves and all? He pulled the scarves apart, says, and he had about four jerseys on. Lifted a jersey. And he was wearing like combat trousers. And he put his hand into his pocket. And he pulled out like a wee sachet of Gaviscon. And goes, there you go, mate. And it was like, it was boiling. And I peeled the top of it and give it that. And I was like,
I can't believe you actually took it.
I wasn't well, bro. I wasn't well.
It's a really brilliant advert for Gaviscon. It
made me better.
No, thanks.
That's what's made me worse. I'm not sure.
Is that the same weekend where you actually purposely went round to the toilet next to the Nottingham Panthers fans just so you could use their one and not stink up the one there?
Yeah, with a bit of a Mr. Whippy situation there.
Just on that, have you seen the new Pepto Bismol? No. Just Davy's problem when he went to the toilet. Have you seen the new? Oh, somebody's been sent off.
Oh. We're keeping it.
Sorry, I'm not saying what match. There's a new Pepto Bismol advert. I caught it on TV last night when I was watching the celebrity thing. But you've got to go and watch this. This is I've never seen anything like it. It's ridiculous.
It's a Pepto Bismol advert.
TV. Pepto Bismol new advert.
Right. That's what it is. Sends off for Denmark, man. So
that's not straight red. It's got to be second. Carry on.
Let's focus down here. Boys. Let's talk about these games that took place over the weekend. Both against the Manchester Storm, a win and an overtime loss. Let's crack ahead with that first one. The 6-3 win over the Storm, which was interesting. Let's hear from the coaches.
Our first period was not great. That's clear. I thought also you got to hand it to Manchester. They came out hard. We didn't. Well, and from there, they're winning those puck battles in front of the net. They build themselves a lead. I thought the second period we started all right there. We had some good shifts. We drew a penalty. We had a couple looks on the power play. It wasn't fantastic. We come out of that power play. We get tired on a shift and we give up something down the net there. I thought from that stage, we have to get, Jackson to just try and change something there. It allows us to get a timeout and send a message to the group. Obviously, we didn't think we supported Jackson well in front of the net there. And then I thought Gravy went in. It's tough to go in cold. I thought he was good, provided that stable presence for us, and I thought the guys played well in front of him. From that stage on, in the second period, I thought we controlled the play, but we weren't threatening very much, and that was frustrating. Like, we were a bit perimeter. We couldn't really get anything really going. I think drawing that penalty near the end of the second period there, that's probably a game-changing moment. I think that the moment you come out for a third period with a power play, I think if you get one, you could see what can happen there. I think all of a sudden the bench just gets a shot of adrenaline, and I think we just completely took over the game from that point on. And the guys really stood up and were accounted for, and everybody bought in, and it was great. It was great third period. It's a really good teaching moment for our group, and we have to play like that from the drop of the puck. If we want to be consistent in this league and we want to win trophies, you got to play like for a full 60, and especially in the league. When it's a bit of a marathon there, we need to make sure that we're taking care of games from the drop of the puck, because it's going to be tough to come back like that in the third period every game. So, but all being said, fantastic third period. I thought every line had some good shifts, and obviously some big goals, some big blocks, big saves. It was all there for the third period, so I'm sure it was exciting third period for the fans. I apologize for the first 40. But the job's half done now this weekend, and we've got another big one against these guys tomorrow. It's tough to beat the same team twice. That's a very good Manchester team. We're going to have to be ready from the drop of the puck tomorrow.
Yeah, I thought the first two periods for us were great. Excellent road game. The third, we talk about third period mentality we want to have, how we want to play, impose our will on teams, and Giants flipped the script on us on that one. 5 unanswered in the third. A lot of mistakes that we've covered, and it's a lot of the same guys, and we can't have that. We either have to learn from our mistakes or get personnel that will. So it's difficult. I feel for the group, but that one definitely stings.
They really give most of the airtime to Adam Keefe there, didn't they? The goals for the Manchester Storm all came in the first two periods from Gary Hayden, Joseph Nardi, and Dennis Busby. They then went on the penalty kill towards the end of the second period into the third period. Jordan Karaguchi scores 1 minute and 1 second into that third period, closely followed by Scott Conway. And as Tom Cullen would say,
we got the one, we got the two. We're smelling it. We're smelling it.
Nicholas Gay, JJ Picanich, Jake Gaudet, and Patrick Grasso with the empty netter made it 6-3, 6 unanswered goals in that third period. Jackson Whistle started the game. Alex Gravel finished it. It was Drew DeRitter for the Manchester Storm. Your referees are Vitas Lukasevicius and Daniel Ferguson. Let's start with those first two periods, Davey. You heard from the coach there, not happy with the way the first period went. Second period wasn't much better. Ultimately, we win the game, but to be in that position made things difficult.
We'll not get 6 goals in every third period that we're 3 goals behind. I think that Simon and me talked after the game on, it was Friday night, wasn't it? Saturday this week. And so we just didn't do enough in the first 2 periods. Like Manchester came, they were quite short in B. They threw everything they had at that first 40 minutes to try and get a lead. It felt that they were trying to defend at that stage. And yeah, when we got the momentum going in the third period, they ran out of wheels big time. The momentum swung and the ice was really tilted. But, Adam said it. We talked about it on Saturday night with Coach in our little chat. I talked about it with Simon as well. We were very perimeter. Now, Manchester boxed out well and they kept us away from the slot well and made us shoot, very low percentage shots from tight angles, and DeRitter was able to deal with all that. I don't know if Simon will come on to it. Is it paying the price of not going to the front of the net? Is it unwillingness? Is it, what's the reasons for that? We've got a very high skilled team. We've got, 6, 7, 8, 9 very high quality forwards. And, just in that first 40 minutes, we couldn't get a tune there going. We probably had a couple of goals there that would normally not concede either. And, a couple of rebounds that were given up, and we weren't first to the loose puck. And unfortunately, then when the third one went, then Adam decided to make the change. And I thought Alex Gravel played very well in that. Actually, there was one big save. It was a 3 each. I think it was about 3 each. When he came up with a massive save to keep us in it. And And obviously we then pushed on through and got the 4th, 5th, 6th and went on to win. And if you were reading the stats and you were just reading the match score on Sunday or on Saturday morning, you think it was a comfortable enough win, but it probably wasn't the performance Adam will have been looking for sure.
So you heard Davey said it well there as well. That Manchester did well to box us out. They did well to control us, and they caught us when they needed to catch us, and they took those 3 goals. It's not often that you'll concede 3 in the first 2 periods and actually go on to win the game. It's very rare, especially if you can. You concede the first 3, and you're actually coming back from 3-0. Credit to the boys; they had to come out there in the 3rd period and do it, and they did it with aplomb.
Yeah, but as Adam said in his interview, you can't give teams like Manchester a 3-0 start. I mean, they are a decent team this year. I was really impressed with them for the first 30 minutes. However, once I'd said, I think it was actually to John Small, I said to him, if we get a goal here at the start of this 3rd period, we've got a chance. And obviously getting that goal just over a minute into the period was important. And then it did give us a bit of life, but you can't just we just weren't good enough in the first 30 minutes. I mean, I thought the second half of the 2nd period we were okay. We created some good chances, and we should have buried 1 or 2 of them. But we've got a tendency to make goaltenders and other teams look like NHL caliber goaltenders, and they're not. Getting that first goal from Kawaguchi and then leading on to it. I phoned David the other night on the way home. Actually, it's probably about 11:15. But if you watch the 3rd goal and you watch the play that Jake Gaudet makes, he steps, he's in the slot, he basically goes in. Kawaguchi's under a bit of pressure behind the net with two Storm players. He steps in, plays the big body, makes the puck bounce out to Kawaguchi. He throws it out front. Nick Gay standing there on his own, and he buries that for 3-3. And then, about a minute and a half later, we end up getting that 4th goal to make it 4-3 and going ahead. But that play doesn't happen if Jake Gaudet doesn't use that's hockey smarts, as I would say. He doesn't have to go in, but he basically goes to make the play and hits the guy hard. Puck bounces out, and it was a great pass out from Gooch. But I thought overall, that when you're playing against Manchester, and I mean they have a couple of really decent players, really really decent players this year. Yeah. But coming out and getting those 6 unanswered goals and the life was just drained out of them. I actually thought they used their energy up in the first 40 minutes.
Yep.
I thought that we just got going in the 3rd and we really dominated in the 3rd. I know Alex or Kurt Gravy came in the 2nd period, wasn't it? Was it the 2nd? First he came in second. But he didn't actually have that much to do. I think he only had something like 7 or 8 shots the rest of the game. And that goes to show how tight defensively Adam, made a really smart decision. Took Jackson out of the net, put Gravy in, and it does give you a bit of momentum. You give you 3-0 down, you just get a wee bit of life, and you got going. And as I say, obviously we went on and dominated the 3rd period to get the 2 points.
What gets me from it as well is the amount of times I've seen games against the Manchester Storm, especially in Altrincham, where the Storm have done exactly that. What we did to them on Friday, I've seen them do to us time and time again in Altrincham, where the momentum shifts, Davey. And once you get that momentum behind you, 1 goal comes, 2 goals come, 3, 4. It's happened to them. And sometimes when they come that quickly, when the floodgates open like that, it's really tough to push back the tide.
Well, yourself, you were there, Simon, and over 6,000 people alongside you, and it was quiet at times. Right. And then once that first goal goes in, and there's a little bit of belief, and then they're paddling their canoe uphill, and then the 2nd goes in, the 3rd, and all of a sudden that 3-0 has evaporated. They're out of legs. They're playing short on D, and the Giants are coming, and the crowd's behind you. It's an intimidating place to play. And I suppose, Paddy, at the same extent for you flip that in Manchester, the small rink, crowds on top of you. It starts to go bad. Simon will know better than any of the 2 of us. Momentum in hockey it's a funny old thing. It just tilts so quick. Just one little thing used to be a fight, maybe change something. Now a goal's more likely to change something, but just the crowd got engaged, and all of a sudden it just overwhelmed them. And
potentially, then the real change was Stephen Johnson's slashing call at the end of the 2nd period.
Yeah,
Stephen Johnson. Yeah. Well, we go on and score that first power play goal within a minute and 1 second that then subsequently becomes 2. They call a timeout after the second goal, and that's where the momentum builds. I think it pivots. This game pivots on that 2-minute slashing call.
Yeah, absolutely. And even I'm just watching Scott Conway's goal there. I mean, he doesn't get all of it. He tries. I think he tries to put it upstairs. That's just sneaks in past the goaltender, and when the puck's going your way, and I said to Davy, and the boys have been speaking about this in the room as well. We will not win more games than we lose if we don't have 3 lines going. We had 3 lines going on Friday night, and at the end of the day, as I say, but the third period especially. But I mean, when you watch this little pass coming in from JJ. I mean, it was just absolutely stunning. Split the fence. That shot, again, he doesn't get all of that. But he managed to do enough to get it past the goaltender. And De Ridder was really good in the first 40 minutes as well. Really, really good. We had some really good chances. Just couldn't put the puck past him. And we genuinely made him look like he's at least a DEL goalie. And, ultimately, again, we managed to pump 6 past him. I said this when David Good was on a couple of weeks ago. We were going to pump someone. And 6 goals in the third period. I actually asked Davey the question, and of course, Mr. Stott went straight into his archive and pulled it out. When was the last time? Not going to tell you the answer, but when was the last time we scored 6 goals in the third period? We'll come back to that. If anybody can take it out.
Stat man.
Davey has the answer. But see if anybody knows in the comments.
Kathy Cardwell will know because she tagged me on Facebook on Saturday night going, Davey knows. So the answer is out on Facebook. If you want to go look for it there, we'll talk later in the show.
Right, let's crack on quickly to the second game then. It was a 2-1 overtime defeat for the Belfast Giants. Let's hear from the coaches.
We didn't play our game plan. We played Manchester's. I thought they drug us into a bit of a dogfight there, took in too many stupid penalties. That affects our ability to play the way we want to play. There's a lot of guys not killing penalties sitting on the bench, and I thought we didn't get much from those guys. And I just think that it just simply was not our game plan. Manchester came to play tonight. They outcompeted us physically. And that's frustrating. I thought, we were good for large portions of the game, but obviously clearly not good enough. No 5-on-5 goals. I just don't think we competed hard enough physically to get control of the scoreboard in that game. And we took too many stupid penalties.
Yeah, I think it's tough to, morally bounce back after a third period like that. But, our group's shown a lot of resilience this year. I've mentioned it a few times now in post-game interviews. It was great. Belfast got power play goal in the first there. We answered, early in the third. Huge, special teams is massive, especially in this league. So all the credit to them, and then a beauty by Welshie in overtime. And I thought we played 5 out of 6 excellent periods this weekend. We really stuck with it. Tonight we ramped up the physicality in the second, and I thought that was a big separator for us.
The goal for the Belfast Giants came from Nicholas Gay, watching play, scoring, putting goals away. The goal for the Manchester Storm, I'm sticking with it, Davey. I'm sticking with it. The goal for the Manchester Storm came from Gary Hayden. It was a power play goal in the start of the third period, and then Nick Welsh with the overtime winner, 17 seconds into the overtime period. It was Lexus Gravel against Evan Veninger, and your referees once again were Vitas Lukasvicius and Daniel Ferguson. And says the story is told there in the post game, penalty after penalty after penalty, and just silly ones at that.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about watching the coaches' interviews. Most of the coaches, and especially in this league, are honest the way the things go. Adam come out and basically said it there. We sort of get sucked into playing their game. It's not very often. You get, I think it's Con's got 3 2-minute penalties in that game, and it's not very often you're going to see Scott Conway getting 3 penalties in one game. And when we're playing, there's only 3 or 4, 6 guys, 6 forwards anyway, that are playing short-handed minutes. And they're using all their energy short-handed than what they are when you get them on for 5-on-5 or even on the power play. And we just didn't get the chances for that. I was listening to Cam Critchlow there saying about what they did right. And they got the physicality. They ramped it up in the second period. I thought Manchester played really well on Sunday. But again, we get sucked into playing their game. 5-on-5, I genuinely believe we're one of the best teams in this league. I genuinely do. But when you're taking stupid penalties, it just makes it so much harder to control the game, play your game, and obviously, dominate the play. But it's one of those things that we need to be better. We just need to find a way to put the puck in the net, and when your chances come along. Again, we've genuinely made Veninger look like an NHL goalie at times. We just, not getting to the front of the net. There's a lot of different adjectives that you can use for it, but I just think that if we could stay on there 5-on-5, we will dominate any team in this league when we have our day for sure.
We talked about the penalty that sort of twisted the game on Friday night, Davy. The penalty in this one, which Scott Conway. I will talk about one of Scott Conway's other penalties later in the show, but that led to the Gary Hayden equaliser. But to give Manchester their due, just as they did on Friday night, they were a tough opposition just to go up against and they were tough to get by.
Yeah, defending well around the goal. Veninger on Saturday night, wasn't it? They defended in tight around him, and again, bit like Friday, were forced into those tight angle shots, low percentage shots. There wasn't an awful lot in what you would call super grade A chances, coming down the slot, and it's one of those. It turned into a bit of a war, and the penalties came. And as Simon said, who do we have? Simon had Nick Gay, Jake Gaudet.
Penalty killing?
No, JJ Pickenic and Jordan Kawaguchi sort of playing 20-25 minutes, and a lot of guys who then aren't killing penalties are sitting watching the game, and it's hard to get going. It's hard to get a bit of flow going. Ryan Smith's coming on. We'll talk to him about the game as well, and how it is when you're not getting a regular shift. And unfortunately, I was sitting here hooking, tripping, roughing, interference, high stick. We just little niggly penalties that wouldn't normally take, and we didn't get opportunities really on the power play either. And we've conceded on the 5-on-3 power play and then 3-on-3 overtime. So I think a good night again from Gravy, and that's Simon. I thought he played really well for us. Gave us an opportunity to go and win the game, and unfortunately we just couldn't do it at the other end of the ice. And as my ma told me on Monday, as she often does, how the Giants do at the weekend, and I'm the glass half full guy. I'm like, ma, we took 3 out of 4 points. Now it's not ideal. We're at home. You want to be taking 4 out of 4 against the Manchester Storm, but 3 out of 4 points. When you're 3-0 down after 40 minutes on Friday night's not a bad return if you want to try and find a positive out of the weekend. So lots of things can be improved on. Got to stay 5-on-5, and got to win our home game. So it all starts again Friday night.
But there's also a good point there made regards to the Giants in this game. Says is you're not going to win many games if you're only scoring 1 goal at home.
Yeah, and again, it's because there's a bucket of different reasons that you're not getting the chances. And I watched practice last Thursday, and I was speaking to Deco at one point. He was a wee break and play. And I said, how's things going? He says, none of us are getting a chance today. The boys are just absolutely flying. And I said to him, oh God, I hope I don't use them all up today and practice and what we're doing at the weekend. But every shot the boys were taking on Thursday in practice was finding a way to get in the net. And it looked like we basically just on Sunday, again, we just couldn't stay in the penalty box. It was a lot of penalties that we don't normally get called for either. You're getting the hook and calls. We're a good skating team, and when you're skating, you don't get those calls against you. It's like the bottom line is, Davey just touched on it there. We should be getting 4 points against the Manchester Storm when we're playing at home.
Yes.
However, when you look back 3 years ago, they beat us twice in Belfast,
I do remember
and that literally shook up the team because we brought a couple of guys in, and went on to win the league. Actually, went on to win the treble, I believe. So it's really disappointing that we just couldn't find a way past Veninger. Listen, he played well. Don't get me wrong. He's a decent goalie. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a decent goalie. And he played very, very well. But the Storm played well. And when you get to overtime, we didn't touch the puck. They won the face-off. They set their play up. They get pounded, and obviously they found a way to get past Gravy. But look, again, we're going to have a big chance here on Friday night to recoup ourselves and hopefully get the win against the Coventry Blaze, and that's exactly what the boys will be aiming for.
The highlights of both these games are available from our good friends at Belfast Giants TV. You can get them on YouTube, and we're about to come back with a chat with Ryan Smith.
I want you to be here. I want you to be here on the street. 'Cause this is our time.
Oh, didn't. Do you know what? I normally take out Nordy, but I'm half watching the Scotland game. Sorry. I think we all are. But you've got it on your phone. There you go. Right, let's have our first guest of the night. A man who's coming to the Belfast Giants for the first time. One of the rarities. A man who's become the first. I think Davy will correct me on this. He'll be the first player to play for the Belfast Giants who has the same name as a previous player of the Belfast Giants. I don't think we've ever had a duplicate name, have we? It's a random stat, that, Davy, but I can't.
As in surname, forename, surname.
Yeah.
Like the second Ryan Smith, spelled differently, but were they?
No, same.
Sure.
Anyway, Ryan Smith, how you doing, Ryan?
Going on, guys?
Turn your phone 90 degrees for us, please, buddy. Just so it fills the screen there.
Let me unlock.
Have you got your lock on? There we go. Nice one, mate.
Oh.
Yeah, with random stat, we also had a Ryan Smith many years ago. We did the first one to come to have the same name as before. Totally meaningless statistic. How did you find the weekend, mate?
It wasn't bad. I mean, obviously after the second period on Friday, it turned out better than we thought, but it was a good battle back. Get the big win on Friday, and then we still got a point Saturday, but I don't think either game we had our best game, but we got 3 of 4, and we just got to keep getting better.
What's it like being on the bench or on the ice in that in a scenario like that third period on Friday, when the goals are just coming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? The momentum is building. You being 3-0 down is nowhere near. I'm sure the words that were used in the locker room in that second period break were very choice, but to have that momentum build and build and build to what it was on in that third period. What's it like to be part of that?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Obviously, especially being at home, to have 6 goals in a period. I can't remember the last time I was on a team where we did that, but we had a power play going into the third and got a big goal from our unit there to get this momentum started. And we were due for the floodgates to open at some point. So, the second one in, third one in, and just all the momentum was on our side. Everyone was going, so it was good to see.
Ryan, as we were talking about there, I don't know if you were listening in. 40 minutes going on Friday night, you're 3-0 down. If you look at the weekend in the round when it's over, taking 3 points from that position, hey, we're stretching here for positives, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, being down 3-0 at home isn't where we want to be, but looking back on the weekend, getting 3 of 4 is definitely huge from that spot. But obviously we have some improvements to make and plenty of areas we can get better and clean up some stuff. So looking forward to getting another chance Friday to get going again.
Yeah, and Adam talked in his post game pressers about just making the change to give the team a bit of a shake up, taking Jackson out, putting Gravy in, and the team maybe perhaps playing a little bit differently in front of him. But Gravy gave us a chance to win on both nights.
Yeah, for sure. Even being down 3-0, that really wasn't on the goalies at all. Just like when we're going, like nobody can really compete with us. And, that third period showed it. We had everybody going. And it was good to see. We just got to keep building.
Smitty, did you were at Maine, and Maine played in the Friendship Four? You didn't play in the Friendship Four, but did you?
Yep, I did.
He did.
20.
I'm literally just checking out the statistics.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I know there was one guy that was here, maybe Matt Foley actually, that was here a couple of years ago when he with Yale and he didn't play in a Friendship Four. But getting back to the Friendship Four, obviously we've got the guys coming in from Friendship Four next week, and looking at you back in 2017, I think it was, for that game. When you look back at the trip that you had to Belfast, was that a contributing factor for making the move to Belfast?
I mean, it helped like seeing the town and the arena, and we got to go up to the Causeway as a team. We went to the Titanic Museum. We had Thanksgiving dinner there. We got to see a lot of stuff, and when I had the opportunity to come play here, like just having that experience, looking back on it, kind of being sort of familiar with the area and the arena and stuff like that, it made it easier to make the decision for sure.
Well, we are always, we're all, the three of us, we're big advocates so forth of Friendship Four, but there is people watching this tonight who haven't actually, who haven't been to a Friendship Four tournament yet. What way would you describe college hockey?
Sort of controlled chaos. I mean, it's a little different now than when I was there with all this, NLI money and transfer portal and everything. Some of these teams are stacked with major junior talent and, people from all over the place now that weren't able to play college hockey back when I was there. But, I mean, it's really good hockey. There's a lot of really good players, probably going to be a handful of future NHL players that come next weekend. So if you have the chance to go, I would, tell you to go and enjoy it.
I didn't see practice today. I heard a lot of whistles, so I'm assuming there was a bit of skating involved. I was in the office and we had our couple of meetings going on. Was it a tough practice today?
Yeah, it was a little up tempo, some good compete, little skate at the end, just try to keep us out of the box. So see if it works.
Very bad. I just, as you were talking there, I just was like, I'll go back to the book about the Friendship Four that was done by Robert and Joe Britannia. I'm just looking at the lineup that took part for me, and not least backstopped by Jeremy Swayman. Whatever happened to him? But sticking with the Elite League, Ryan, Tim Doherty, Mitch Fossier, Chase Pearson, guys that you will be going up against this season, and it's good to see that we have these guys coming into this league.
Yeah, for sure. All those guys were at my wedding this summer, so it was good to see them a couple weeks ago when we went up to Nottingham. But yeah, probably them playing in that Friendship Four probably gave them some sort of future idea to come play in this league as well. So definitely, it's big for the college guys to come see it.
How difficult is it? Because hockey's a small world, so it's not going to happen. But when you come up against mates like that, and you have to, at the end of the day, it is a game. But if things start to get physical and you have to get involved, how difficult is that?
Yeah, it's definitely weird, but it's kind of a understanding you get with everybody you play against, and any team you play, there's going to be some connection you've made along the way. Like you said, hockey world is so small. So, you battle during the game, and then as soon as it's over, you're back to being buddies again.
And Ryan, settling into Belfast all right, and I believe I've had a message from your wife's boss to give the gym a bit of a shout out. She's doing a bit of personal training.
Yeah, she's up with Shieldsy at TPF there, getting some training in. So if you know anyone that needs a new personal trainer, she's your girl.
Those Maine alumni just look after each other, don't they?
Yeah, tight family up in Maine.
Yeah, the Blackbriars, isn't it? Shedzy obviously was an All-American at Maine, but he good friend with Joe. He likes us to give a bit of a TPF shout out to McCann, so that's good that she's working up here. But let's take it back to this weekend. Well, we'll see Coventry coming in on Friday, and then we'll get I know we'll not think about Sunday until Sunday, but we'll get to go back to Guildford, where I feel we owe them one from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, like a new team coming in Friday that I haven't seen before. Be a good test for us. I think they're doing pretty well so far this year, so gonna definitely have to bring our A game to get 2 points, and then we owe Guildford one on Sunday. So hopefully a big weekend for us.
How have you found this league? Has it surprised you at all? like from what you were expecting? Obviously, you played DEL2. You'd already you'd made the jump to Europe before, but coming into this league, has the style of play shocked you at all?
I wouldn't say it surprised me really. No, just talking to old teammates and old buddies that either still play here or have played here. Just it's pretty similar to ECHL, just on a bigger ice, and there's good players everywhere, and physicality's up compared to Germany a little bit, but it's good skill everywhere, and it's good hockey, so everything's going good.
And what's it like in the room?
In the room?
Yeah.
It's good. We got a good group. I like all the guys here, and try to get together as much as we can off the ice, but everything in the locker room is good. Get a good group.
But listen, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming and joining us. Good luck this weekend and with the visit of Coventry and the trip to Guildford.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Cheers.
It's go time. It's show time. It's go time. The whole time. Scoring goals time. Let them know time. It's go time. The whole time. Scoring goals time. Let them know time.
It is little over a week until the Friendship 4 faces off in Belfast for another wonderful occasion of NCAA hockey. To tell you what, I'm absolutely gutted I'm not going to be able to make it over this year because it's one of my favorite weekends, but it is one of the best weekends of hockey in Belfast.
That's one of the ones I look forward to for sure. It's as Ryan said there, it's full of excitement. These kids are all aiming for one thing. They all want to get to the NHL. They're not all going to make it. There might not be any of them make it, but they've all dreaming big, and they come in at 100 miles an hour. They batter the crap at each other, and then they get ready to go again the next day or the next night. It's a fantastic caliber of hockey. If you haven't been, then you make sure you get a ticket. The next 3 years or 4 years, have already been organised. The teams that are upcoming as well are fantastic. There's always a little gem that pops out from each team that you sort of think, God, there's that guy's pretty good, and Steve and Adam will be watching the games. Believe you me, they'll be looking, and Mace as well, and the coaching staff, they'll be watching the games, thinking, he might fit what we are planning, what we're looking to do here, and it's something that I really look forward to every year. And back behind the mic this year, we've got a couple of surprises, so it's it should be a bit of fun.
And Davy, you do get the opportunity to watch guys who will be in the NHL. Case in point, who's this lad? Give us a
Shane Lachance, captain of the Boston University. When they were down, when they were up against it last year in the final, Notre Dame looked like they were going to take it. This kid stood up tall, dragged them through, won the bell pot, and this week played his first game in the NHL. This is me. I'm saying to him here, like, Keith wants to sign you. Unfortunately, it was Sheldon, the New Jersey Devils, that got his signature, and he took big part in a massive overtime win for the New Jersey Devils during the week. I've seen a great video of Sheldon presenting him with the puck in the locker room after the game. So just to echo what Simon would say, when you're coming to watch this tournament, you are watching potential future superstars, guys that are going to the very best league in the world. And within a year, this guy's playing in the top league in the world. We had Yanni Peretz a few seasons ago there.
Jeremy
Getting so, shake Davy's hand at this tournament. You have a percentage better chance of going through the show.
Well, that all takes place next weekend. We'll come back to it, no doubt, for a bit of a chat next week. What I want to do before we get on to our next interview is have just a quick word about the Player of the Month that was awarded. With 37.8% of the vote, it goes to number 23. You voted for Mike Lee. Presented after the game on Saturday. I'll start with you. Says Spike with the award this week. You weren't with us last week. We were chatting about the people who were nominated, but I think worthwhile Spike getting that.
Yeah, no, I thought Spike was really good last month. You know, he obviously Basti was out. We've had Roche out all season. We've had other injuries in the back end. I think there was one game from memory played 29 minutes. You know, or maybe there you go. Davy's basically pointing upwards of 29 minutes, and that is tough to do. You know, these guys, if you want them at their best, you probably just want them playing 21, 22 minutes, maybe 23. And they've got the energy to get back in it again. He didn't miss skip a beat, and yeah, I think it's totally deserved. And he's got his whole family over this week for the last 10 days, and yeah, they've all had a really good time as well. So yeah, I think they were delighted that he was announced player of the month on Saturday night.
So, Davy, a word for Spike.
A word for Spike, but just before the word for Spike, a word for Jason Wright, the former Belfast Giants 22, presenting the modern day Belfast Giants 23 with the Player of the Month award. Great to see. I'm looking great for 25 years down the line, by the way. But Spike, just to echo what Simon says, and like Spike comes back to the bench at the end of the shift, busting to get back out there. So if Spike could play 59 minutes a game, Simon, he'd be out there. You know, he's hungry for more ice time. When Basti was hurt and he had to play with other combinations and he had to maybe double shift here and there, you know, he's killing penalties. He's on the power play. He's 5-on-5, obviously. He's been great. You know, I know we joked about him being a bit of a Derek Walser and more of a left winger than a D-man, but, you know, he can carry transitions the puck so well. It's often good for your D-man to be first across the blue line on the rush. So, you know, you've seen over the last couple of weekends some big assists from him, but, you know, you could make an argument for any of those guys being player of the month, but the people have spoken.
They have indeed. He was presented
the biggest prize in sport.
Biggest prize in sport, and with the View from the Bridge Player of the Month. And I know what Simon's going over. Scotland just scored from their own half.
Yeah.
It's absolute belter from their own half. Scotland are going to the World Cup. Well done to him. I've got a mate at that game. He was sent us a message earlier on about how nervous he was. So I'm delighted for Kev. But yeah, well done to Spike and to Mike Lee for picking up the View from the Bridge Player of the Month for October. We'll be back to that again at the end of this month, no doubt. Right, let's get our next interview. The Belfast Giants will be visited by the Coventry Blaze at the end of this week. And so we went and had, early on today, I had a chat with the head coach of the Coventry Blaze. That is, of course, Kevin Moore. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Second season with the Coventry Blaze, and I think the first question I want to ask you is, given your experiences of your first season there as head coach, what lessons are you bringing into this second season?
Yeah, you know, I think there were a lot of lessons. Training camp being one of them. I think for me, an assessment of like how I like to play, you know, there were certain things that I felt like we corrected after January last year that maybe I could have came into the season maybe better prepared, first year head coach, thing like that. So that was a big part of kind of what I brought in from last year was just, okay, the way we were playing, what I was teaching the second half of the year, can we do that earlier? You know, certainly there's a lot of other things in terms of bench management, being a little more ready to draw clear when you pull the goalie on the whiteboard, or, you know, even practice stuff, making sure that you explain properly before a practice. Is it offense, defense out, or blue jerseys go here? You know, little things like that to be more efficient. So there's a lot. I'm very much a guy who's a growth mindset. Like every day I take notes on what I need to do better, not just the players. So, I mean, I got 26 pages of notes already from this year on what I already need to do better from this year. So it's a learning process every day.
So yeah, you can take the notes on what you can do better, but then what successes? What was there anything you tried last year? Do you think, do you know what, that actually worked, and I see that as a success? Yeah,
you know, I small area games in practice is something that I believe in. It's something that I think like prepares our players to be really good in dirty areas. In a funny way, right? We're not scoring as much as we did last year. We're not scoring as much as I'd like. but I think the small area games is something that it's like, yeah, that works. That can work at pro. I think sometimes when you're coaching professionals, you forget that like competing is the best way to get better, and small area games are a way to do it. So that, I think that's one example, probably of many, if you really got me to sit here and reflect long enough.
I think it's interesting because I remember we had a chat last year, and you were very contemplative on how you were going to approach this as a head coach, having been an assistant coach, having been a goalie coach, having been in through this and getting this chance. And I'm just interested to see if you felt that it went how you wanted it to go.
I think objectively, it was a success in terms of like my personal growth, a success in bringing excitement back here. I always have a hard time answering that question for our league because I guess the North American in me is like, we had finished 5th place last year. That's not a great season.
Yeah.
But you know that when you zoom out, all things considered, and what the perception was that it was. So there's a balance there for sure. Like I think it was a good first crack at it, but certainly I'm not satisfied, I guess is probably a nicer way to say it out loud for myself. But yeah.
So but then you come into the second season and you have to rebuild the roster, as is the case in this league. It's very transient. You brought in a load of new faces, some recognizable across the league, but a lot of new faces. What was your approach to recruitment coming into this season?
The approach was to find. Well, first it was to retain. It was to retain as many guys as possible. And no secret, we did an okay job of that. It wasn't perfect, and I love the idea of having a common thread, right? So thankfully, Grayson Constable, Luciani, Kim, all of our Brits, like they came back, which helps me with the message with the new guys. But then on the new guys, it was okay. Who can fit my style of play, but also who maybe can help me elevate from where we finished last year. And where can we clean that up? So I thought size down the middle was one of those things that would help us elevate and be in games. I felt certainly the puck moving side on the defenseman would help. Like I thought we were a little more meat and potatoes last year on that end. And then obviously just trying to figure out, okay, can I replace the goals that we lost in the aggregate? Versus trying to just recruit like a 30-goal scorer in some ways. Because realistically, I didn't think that Chase or Seitz or even Luch or any of those guys were going to score the amount of goals they did. They didn't get recruited that way. I was fortunate that they produced past expectations, but they also hit my expectation as being really good players.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
yeah, I think you can't. There are things you can't mitigate for. Is it like you bring the guys in on the basis of your scouting reports, talking to the former coaches, looking at their stats. But if they come in and excel, that's just a bonus on top of what you want them to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to score goals. I love scoring goals. I do find it funny this year. The average goals across the league, goals for, is down. Like it's a more defensive league this year, at least to this point. So in the recruiting, it's just try to replace what we lost in the aggregate, but also get better defensively.
And you brought in two guys who were well loved here in Belfast, and Grant Mismash, and especially Elijah Barriga, two guys who really bring something to the team.
Yeah. And they're both very different people, very different players. I think Elijah very much is somebody whose game is really built on effort and compete. And when he is doing that, he is getting to the dirty areas. And I think, unfortunately for him, he's been a little bit snake bitten this year for us. Like, he's getting the chances. He's working hard. It's one of those guys where I think the floodgates are going to open really soon for him because he's doing the right things for us. And Grant, it's really cool for me to coach him. I coached his older brother at St. Scholastica.
All right.
And it was really cool this year. I had him, I think people know I like to empower our players to have a voice at times, go up on the whiteboard, draw things like that. And he didn't know this at the time. He does now. I had him draw up a 3-on-3 overtime situation for our entire team and just put him on the spot. And it's the same thing I did to his brother Parker at college. And it was a very funny full circle moment for me. But I think, Grant's talent speaks for itself in terms of his shot. And he's sneaky good at so many little hockey things that have nothing to do with scoring. He's a really good angler. He knows how to angle defensively at a really high rate. He's an incredible puck protector. Like when we do puck protection drills, guys can't steal the puck off him. And he's been a joy to coach as much as Elijah for different reasons. And I've loved getting to know Elijah. Elijah's the guy who's knocking on our door being like, can I see a shift? Can I watch this? Can I watch that?
Yeah.
And I couldn't speak more highly of two guys. It's been fun having them in the room this year.
And the Giants fans watching this are probably looking at it and wondering why I haven't mentioned Max Stewart. Of course, Max Stewart, I wanted to bring you onto that because you've got a bit of every league has to have a Brit core, and you guys have a great Brit core in what you have there, not least the likes of David Clements there. But Max Stewart is somebody who probably has been knocking on the door of the elite league to get more and more ice time, and it looks like with you guys that's exactly what he's getting.
Yes, yeah, and Mac, I think it's hard for young players to find their niche in our league, but also be willing to just grow step by step and let time kind of run its course so you can develop. And, obviously in Coventry, I'm happy to give talented young Brits a chance, but you have to be on a learning curve that's appropriate to what's going to help a team win. And Mac's been nothing but a good, coachable, hardworking player for me in that, where the leash is getting longer every few weeks with him because he's playing hard. He's finishing his checks. He's been great on the penalty kill. Like, you could make a highlight reel of Max Stewart PK blocks this year. And like, it's awesome. But getting into a role like that for someone like him too is a really hard transition because of what his role was in Milton Keynes last year for the most part. And there's a learning curve and there's uncomfortability. And I've really loved coaching him, particularly the last 2 weeks. Like, he's taken it to another level in practice. And because of that, he's taken another level in games. And he's also one of those guys his teammates love him. Like, he's been a great fit. I've really taken a lot of pride in helping him, but I've also been really, impressed with his ability to deal with the ups and downs early, because it is a transition, and he's doing great with it.
Obviously, he's a man, being a local lad from Belfast, one we want to see thrive. Not so much against us, but we certainly want to see him thrive, and it's good to see that he's getting that time. One of the last regards to the personnel, one I want to bring up, especially you being a former goalie, is the return of Robson, who seems to just be doing exactly what he was doing last season.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, Matt's our rock, and it was really important to make sure he came back so I could keep trying to play our style of play. It definitely at times will put stress on the goalies to make big saves, but Matt's a big save goalie. And, he's still, I know we played him every game last year. He still wants to play every game. Thankfully, we feel like we found a good backup in Dershawn Stewart, and they work really well together. But, I think the thing about Matt that a lot of people maybe don't know is he's a guy who really likes to challenge himself and really get out of his comfort zone. Like, he's always trying to find ways to get better, whether it's the goalie skates we do on Friday where we're putting him in grade A situations where he knows he can't stop them all, but he's trying.
Yeah.
Or we're watching video, or, off the ice, he's trying to teach himself how to play piano. Like, he's a guy who loves the challenge.
Let's bring it back to this weekend, Kevin. And obviously, you guys are coming in to face the Belfast Giants, and there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded lion. And you guys are coming off a bad weekend, unfortunately, against the Nottingham Panthers and the Glasgow Clan. So you'll be coming with a bit between your teeth just to try and turn that.
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, every season's a process, and I think for us, we're still learning how to find consistency. And for me, sometimes you need games like the Glasgow game to really wake you up out of it. Mm-hmm. Certainly, it's been a few weeks in a row of inconsistency, and I think we've been really hard on the guys behind the scenes. And so, like today, for example, was a day where it was just like, okay, here's our expectation. How are we going to make sure that we play to the Blaze standard and play to the identity that I want us to play, right? Aggressively competitive and winning the house and things that should be a standard for a team I coach. So the guys should be extra motivated for sure, because we've raised the temperature a little bit, and I think that's good. I mean, I didn't do that really last year until January, to be honest. And you ask questions about a new first-time head coach, things you learn, things like that. I think last year taught me to have a sense of like, okay, when is it time to jack up that intensity? For us this year, it's right now. And, it wasn't just this poor weekend last weekend that's forcing this. It's basically saying, hey, let's plant our feet down and stop being inconsistent. And the results will follow if we can bring that work rate. So, yeah, we're definitely ready to go. It was a good hard practice today.
We are here. Big thanks to Kevin. Big thanks to Kevin Moore for coming and joining us and the chat ahead of this game, their visit on Friday. Just one point I want to pick up before we move on. I'll talk to you on this. Is Max Stewart. He says interesting point that he's about giving Max Stewart that more and more leash to sort of go and do what he wants to do. You look at the game. Yes, they lost the game on the weekend against the Glasgow Clan. Mac played 10 minutes of that game. He's getting the ice time. He's getting the time on the ice. He's getting the opportunities at the Coventry Blaze, and it's good to see.
It's brilliant, and I've no doubt Mac will end up back in Belfast at some point. I mean, the kid I don't want to be disparaging, but he's 5'6", 5'7", and 4 stone soaking wet. But he has balls the size of Dundonald. He gets stuck into anybody. It's the same as Carter Hamill. They're both about the same. I was going to say they're like twins, but Carter's already got a twin. They know they've no fear. They just get stuck in. They love the game, and. I've always enjoyed watching Mac. He's had a few chances over the years, and it's difficult to get into that lineup when you've got so many really talented players in front of you. However, Kevin Moore, who I really like as well, he's given them a chance here now, and hopefully, and it sounds like he's taking that chance. I mean, he made a play a few weeks ago. It's probably more than a few weeks ago now in Guildford, and the pass he made. He digged the goalie right out of it. I mean, he digged me out of it, and I was sitting watching it at home. The pass he made for the guy coming in the back door was absolutely fantastic. So it's great to see him getting the ice time. It's great to see him getting the responsibility for different, whether it's, he said he was playing short-handed minutes as well. So it's great to see that, and hopefully he keeps developing the way he can. And I have no doubt that we're going to see Max Stewart back in Belfast at some point, and I'm really looking forward to that happening as well.
I'll give you that. I'll come in on that, Davey, if you want.
What about Mac?
I
think listening to Kevin Moore there, Mac will be pretty proud of himself, and I'm sure Stu will be pretty proud listening to what a head coach in the Elite League saying about his son and his development and his work rate and his just on and off ice work ethics are great. I think what Kevin Moore said about just tempering expectations and not trying to make these massive jumps time after time, but make small, gradual, incremental steps is the way to make sure you set yourself up for a career in this league or beyond this league. So whilst Max broke into that team now and he's doing really well, he's taking his opportunity in the penalty kill and stuff to just take those little opportunities to come along and make them be building blocks rather than thinking, I need to be playing 25 minutes here. So it's great. And I think Kevin Moore said a lot of positive things about him. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, great to see. Good luck to Mac. Just not this weekend. Just not Friday night. Before we sort of rattle on here, let's bring back this thing up.
Dops. 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 Dops.
Good. I've missed it.
Thanks, Todd Kelman.
The big thanks to Kelman. Yeah, but that's why I had the stat man as well. The Department of Player Safety have suspended Scott Conway for one game based on a dangerous trip that took place on Saturday night. Just to read you what we had is that the Conway used his leg to dangerously trip Storm defenseman Nick Welsh, knocking him backwards onto the ice. Conway was assessed a minor penalty for tripping. It goes on to describe what happened. And it's important to note that there are many occasions where players either use their legs or stick and upper body to restrain, impede opponents or to gain leverage during a puck battle. What causes this play to rise to the level of supplemental discipline is force Conway uses when kicking the leg of his opponent. Simon, I'll start with you on this. Your thoughts?
No, I'll start with Davy.
Okay, Davy, I'll start with you on this. Your thoughts?
Why? I think it's an open and shut case. Take your medicine sometimes.
I said, I've got the footage here that the took place. Let me see if we can add to it.
It's one of those, Paddy. It's an incident that's happened, heat of the moment in the game. He's been blew up for it in the night. I would have hoped that would have been enough, but it seems to be we're re-refereeing as many games as we can from the situation during the season. I note the massive two-handed slash in the back of the legs here. It retains its 2 minutes severity. So,
Well, I'm surprised at that. Like to give my take before on yourself says, it does look dangerous. It does look dangerous in that play. He gets his 2 minutes for tripping, but likewise, the slash we've seen slashes like that, and I'm not going to distract away from the fact of what Conway got. Sorry, slashes less than that have been fined. And we've got one from Garrett Hunt this week that Dops have seen fit to sort of give a fine to. We just saw one for Scott Conway earlier, but that doesn't seem to have any supplemental. Your thoughts on Scott Conway supplemental?
Me?
Simon? Yeah.
Absolutely deserved it. Yeah. You can't do that. He can't. I know he was frustrated. It's no, but even if you look at the build-up, we're not seeing the real Scott Conway. We know what he's capable of, and he knows what he's capable of, and that's that's a silly play. It's a play that it's not needed. Yes, you can get frustrated in this game. Believe you me, I've been there myself and taking stupid penalties.
Surely not, Simon.
100%, mate. I was an absolute dick back in the day, like when I get pissed off. But you got away with a lot more when I was playing compared to every camera on you now. But no, you can't be doing that. It's a silly play from Collins, and look, he's a big enough boy to stand up and take it in the chin, and he'll be coming back bigger and stronger. I expect a big performance from him on Sunday because he's obviously going to miss out on Friday night. But no, it's a bad penalty to take.
What other one? Well, there's two other ones. We talked about the Garrett Hunt one, which was fine, but Jake Cooler will not play against the Belfast Giants this weekend due to him tripping.
They won't be able to sit.
He's been assessed a 3-game suspension and fined for an incident that took place in the Sheffield Steelers game here. He's been led off the ice. The actual press release from Dops is vague. It's on Wednesday night in Sheffield. For Jake Cooler was assessed a game misconduct during a league game number 43. The incident occurred at this time. Effective immediately, he's been banned for 3 games. Surely a 3-game suspension, if you want to have transparency, like literally, I've had a look at the game video. This is basically it. We don't see what happens. We don't have anything from it. We're just told he's been given a 3-game suspension. Does that seem odd?
There are 67 different camera angles in Sheffield. Whatever's happened has been caught on camera and for whatever reason not released. I don't know what happened. I'm not even going to speculate. I've no idea. But it's out there, like somebody knows.
I'm going to just have a bit of rant of frustration in this because we want
Crack on.
we want the Department of Player Safety to be transparent. We want to have the information. You want to educate the fan base. If you don't give the information, then you leave yourself open for interpretation. You get this sort of the nonsense of the bias towards this, bias towards that. Cougar has been assessed a 3-game suspension, not insignificant. We've just spoken about Scott Conway gaining a 1-game suspension for something that was a pretty naughty, and everybody here said he's banged the rights on. It's an open and shut case. That's a 1-game suspension. Cougar's been given 3 games plus a fine for something that is not explained. Is it due to mouthing off the referee? Did he shove a referee? Did he, from what I've seen, he comes off the bench, he has a chat with the referee, he gets a game misconduct, and he's given 3 games on top of that. The league has made so many leaps and bounds in transparency, so many leaps and bounds in professionalism, but a thing like that, and then what we spoke before about the slashing calls and re-refereeing games, you end up just making a rod for your own back and making it difficult without any sort of transparency. Educate the fan base. Tell us what's wrong. Tell us why he's got his 3-game suspension. Don't leave it to a point where everybody's guessing that, did he say something to the referee and that's it? Did he shove a referee? Did he shove a player? Did he swipe at somebody? This is nothing. If you're going to have a Department of Player Safety, do it properly. That's all I'm thinking. That's my sort of 2 pence worth. Anybody want anything to add on that?
Just like Twitter is obviously not scientific and it's only speculation, but most of the tweets on X are speculating that it was for over and above the normal level of verbal abuse that would be acceptable.
Then say that. Do you know what I mean?
It's I hear you.
It's the vagueness, and it's not the first time we've seen it.
I'm not making any accusations there, by the way. I'm saying I'm reading it directly from the...
He does like in the game. He does slash out at a player again. About just a love tap and a frustration of the game. He doesn't get it for that, but it's just There's a level where Dops seems to have taken a significant step backwards. We had it where we were getting the videos, we were getting descriptions. For goodness sake, in one Dops video, we saw reflections in the glass being used as a reason to sort of see what was going on in the penalty. But now we've just gone to here's a very vague three line press release to talk about a 3-game suspension. Whereas
3-game suspension in this league is Simon, whether or not 3-game suspension in this league is very significant.
Yeah, I'd agree. But
I know you're going to come to me. 5% of the season.
I know you're going to come to me about it. I couldn't care less.
I know, but
it's one of them ones.
It's great.
What Paddy's saying, it's very, very fun. I'm just looking at Shea, his comment there, transparency and consistency. That's all he's asking for. But again, I honestly couldn't care less. I'm worried about what happens to our team. I couldn't give a toss what happens to everybody on our team. Yep. Just join that part.
Right, well, in which case, the Belfast Giants are visited by the Coventry Blaze on Friday at 7 p.m. Get yourself down to that. And then we travel to Guildford to take on the Flames. We spoke about it. Davey spoke about it earlier with Smitty about wanting to get one back on that. That is at 6 p.m. in the Spectrum, or you'll be able to join Anthony Russell on Flames TV. Oh yes, I was supposed to get something for you, Simon, wasn't I? But any other business, gents, and I will. If you want to talk about the shirt, Simon, I will bring up the details.
Talk about what?
The shirt that's on raffle.
Oh yes, sorry. We have a signed, game prepared, air ambulance jersey up for grabs. It's on Rafael, on the Giants, the AVFTB page. So Paddy's going to put a link up at some point on our AVFTB page. I know it has already been announced from the Giants' social medias. So if you can support, fantastic. It's it's the way the game went the other night, and everybody got the support. That's one thing about our fan base that they they support the charities that we basically we announce, and obviously this year's Little Heroes from the Royal Victoria Hospital and the Northern Ireland Ambulance are the two charities chosen by the Odyssey Trust, who are selected by their staff who nominate these charities. That jersey signed by all the team, all the coaching staff, and it's going to be, and it's like, you know what, I think the jersey was absolutely class as well. I thought it looked fantastic. Their ambulance came down on the night itself and did quite a bit of fundraising, and the support we got was just brilliant. So thank you very much to everybody involved. And if you can spare a couple of quid or more to buy a couple of raffle tickets for this, it's on until next Tuesday, I believe. So thank you very much indeed.
I thought the shirts, Davey, and the way it was all set up looked really well.
Yeah, listen, we talked about the Belfast Giants in our little WhatsApp group. You, me, and Coach, and Saturday night we're having a bit of banter about it, but the amount of work that this club does for charitable causes it's great. It's great that we can some way use this platform that we have to help raise money for something that I think we are all pretty passionate about. We've all known people that have needed to use the air ambulance or that have been involved in the air ambulance, and people that are no longer with us. So it's actually someone got in touch with me. I'm going to say September time, saying, wouldn't it be amazing if you could do an air ambulance night? Could you pass that on to the club? Before I passed it on to the club, it had been announced that they were already doing it, so it must have been in the pipeline for a long time. So he was really pleased. He's got his replica shirt ordered, and another great night for charity.
I know there's one more thing we just need to cover. I think we'll close the show with that, unless there's any other business, boys. Anything for yourself, Davey?
Nope, just the final little bit.
Okay, before we do that, not from you, Simon. Anything more? No. All good. Okay, the Belfast Giants, as I said, are facing the Coventry Blaze on Friday night at home. That's at 7 p.m. on Friday night. Get yourself down to that. Disappeared there, boys. We're back. They get yourself down to that, and then we travel over to the Guildford Flames on Sunday, 6 p.m. If you're not making the trip to the Spectrum, you'll get that on Flames TV. Big thanks to everybody who's tuned in. You get us at AVFTB on Twitter and all the usual sort of place. But unfortunately, once again, Davey, we are going to close the show with some sad news that I apologize. We should have shared last week, but we will make up for that now.
We just didn't have the full details at the time we recorded slightly early last week. I'm going to struggle with this one. Pete Turner, last week we received the sad news that our friend and colleague Pete had passed away. Bussy Pete. Pete transported the Giants and various visiting teams as a coach driver before he became a game night volunteer. He was much loved and he's well known to fans and players alike, and he was part of the team, behind the team for over 2 decades. Our thoughts are with Pete's partner Marie, the wider family circle, his son Scott, his stepchildren Martin and Laura, and his grandchildren Scarlett, Eden, Erin, Thomas, Arya, and Porrick. Bussy Pete.